Chairman Kim, if we can denuclearize your country, there is a brighter future for the North Korean people. We're convinced that he, too, shares that understanding that there has to be, indeed he has directed, better economic times for his own people.
The South Korean government is closely watching North Korean movements and is closely working with the United States. However, I hope you understand that we are not able to speak about the intelligence.
From our Pentagon team about North Korea, quote, it's business as usual. A U.S. official with knowledge of the latest intelligence assessment on North Korea told Fox News. Officials specifically noting that Kim's regime is pushing forward with building ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. A U.S. official told Fox News there's no evidence North Korea has halted work on missile development despite dismantling parts of an engine test site in recent weeks. We're back with the panel. Jonah, what does this tell us?
I find this utterly not surprising. My position has always been, it has nothing to do with Trump, it has to do with the North Koreans. The North Koreans have organized their entire political system for 30 years around the need to have nuclear weapons. Asking them to give up their nuclear weapons voluntarily is like asking the Hell's Angels to give up their motorcycles and switch to scooters. It is part of their identity as a nation, and it is not even clear to me that Kim Jong-un could survive a coup if he actually gave away the nukes. And so this does not shock me.
But Molly, days ago, the president tweeted, a rocket has not been launched by North Korea in 9 months. Likewise, no nuclear test. Japan is happy. All of Asia is happy. But the fake news is saying, without ever asking me, always anonymous sources, that I'm angry because it's not going fast enough. Wrong. Very happy. But can't be happy about missiles going forward, right?
I don't know. I agree with Jonah here. This should not be surprising. Kim publicly stated they were going to continue building ballistic missiles. There was nothing in those talks which indicated that he would stop doing it. And they do not have sufficient incentive right now to stop with their materials that they're building and with the ballistic missiles. This is part of a larger program, which is deterrence, which we need to continue doing. We need to keep the lines of communication going, and that has gone well. We had some of the bodies of the dead soldiers returned, and that is a very good start. And we also need to think about containment as we continue to pursue this denuclearization strategy. It can take a long time, but it's not surprising, I don't think.
By the way, the Vice President's going over to Hawaii to meet the remains there. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but that is not the message that Donald Trump has been sending. He came back from that meeting in Singapore, and he said there's no more nuclear threat from North Korea. Now, lately he's saying, I'm very patient, it's okay if it takes a long time, but he was very invested in saying the meeting was a success. I've solved the problem, as he put it. Everyone can sleep easier, and he's going to have to backpedal from that.
Are sleeping easier, right? It's a much better situation right now than it was a year ago.
Well, then when they were exchanging threats to destroy each other, sure.
Yeah, Greg?
He always said, let's see what happens. And I think you're seeing what happens. And I don't think North Korea should halt what they're doing. They are waiting for a grand gesture. It's like a romance. You got to put a ring on it. And until there is actually a commitment, an agreement, a formal declaration of peace, I don't see why they wouldn't stop doing it. We wouldn't stop doing it. So I think it's now who does it first. I think that's where we are now. I'm very positive about this. I do feel better about the world. And I think that things have happened. It's way different than it was when...
And you've said you're neurotic. So
and I'm very neurotic. I'm worried about everything, but I'm worried less about North Korea. And I just think that we have to... for this to happen, they don't trust us, we don't trust them, so they're waiting for the grand gesture.
All right, so speaking of grand gestures, the president yesterday talking about Iran.
Preconditions, no. They want to meet, I'll meet. Anytime they want. Anytime they want. It's good for the country, good for them, good for us, and good for the world.
If the Iranians demonstrate a commitment to make fundamental changes in how they treat their own people, reduce their malign behavior, can agree that it's worthwhile to enter a nuclear agreement that actually prevents proliferation, then the president said he's prepared to sit down and have the conversation with them.
Sounded different there, Jonah, but the Iran
preconditions, no preconditions.
Foreign statement, foreign ministry statement said, you know what? No, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, so this is what unites these two stories, and is also Pompeo's testimony last week. Pompeo very strenuously tried to say, imply, suggest that what the president says off the cuff isn't the policy. What we're actually doing on the ground is the policy. And so here we have two sound bites from the Secretary of State essentially clawing back what the president says off the cuff on television. And it's a weird way to run a railroad.
Yeah, I mean, the president's statements are not U.S. government policy. We hear that over and over again. John Bolton keeps on saying that is not the policy of the United States government, but the president is the United States government. So what does that mean? That other countries should discount what he says and wait for Pompeo to explain it?
All right, Molly.
But the last 3 presidents who won election were people who wanted to meet with the country's adversaries. This is something the electorate wants, even if the foreign policy consensus in D.C. acts like it's crazy. For a lot of Americans, there was no difference between what they heard Donald Trump say and Mike Pompeo say. They want to have a different approach to foreign policy, one based more on national interest than interventionism.
Right. All right, last word here, Greg.
I look at the personnel, and I'm not worried. I look at Pompeo. I look at Bolton. These are grim people. Bolton is a walking no. So it's a different administration, in my opinion, that I think that they go in there and they're more level-headed. It's like comparing, to you paraphrase Jonah, comparing this level of foreign policy with the previous is like a Humvee to a Schwinn. These guys mean business.
All right. Good luck on the book.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure. Always good to see you.
Hopefully Dane will be okay.
Yeah.
When we get back...
Got our square jar.
Okay. Tribute to the fighting the fires in California. The good coming from all that pain out there.